Hello, I'm All My Boring. This is my channel. I haven't uploaded anything, but just the other day or the day before, I can't remember, I got this book in the mail. It's the book adaptation of Halloween from the 70s. It's pretty hard to find, so I thought I'd read it a little, see if we can have some fun. Pages are pretty yellowed. I honestly really like it. It's a nice aesthetic. Smells like old book. Okay, let's get reading. Someone has removed Judy Myers' headstone from the graveyard. Someone has left a freshly killed dog in the old Myers house. Someone has broken into a store and stolen a Halloween mask and several long knives. Someone has returned to Haddonfield after 15 bitter years of exile. Someone who will strike again and again and again. Halloween, a novel by Curtis Richards based on a screenplay by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. Bantam Books. Toronto, New York, London. For Ronnie, Trick or Treat. Halloween. Prologue. The horror started on the eve of Samhain in a foggy vale in Northern Ireland at the dawn of the Celtic race. Once started, it trod the earth forevermore, wreaking its savagery suddenly, swiftly, and with incredible ferocity. Then its lust sated, it shrank back into the mists of time for a year, a decade, a generation perhaps, but slept only and did not die, for it could not be killed. And on the eve before Samhain it would stir, and if the lust were powerful enough, it would rise to fulfill the curse invoked so many Samhains before. Then the people would bolt their doors. Scant good what the crap? Sorry. Scant good it did them, for the sing laughed at locks and bolts, and besides, there were the unwary, always the unwary. Samhain, the Druid festival of the dead. The summer has passed, and so too had the outbursts of the early fall warmth, now known as Indian summer. Indian summer, is that still acceptable to call today? I don't know. I feel like it's not. I don't know. The green has gone out of the land, the crops harvested, and the chill of winter had descended like an angel of death. The people, fearing the sun might never again warm the land, held their festival to appease Makola, their deity. On hillsides and in the caves, in the daub and wattle huts, great fires were lit to which the spirits of the departed were invited by their kinsmen to warm themselves, to be cheerful before the snows blanketed the earth. Druid priests divined who would live and die in the coming year, who would marry, bear children, wax rich, enjoy good health, and they attempted to hold at bay, through sacrifice and other rites, the witches and goblins that ran amok at the time, stealing infants, destroying crops, killing farm mammals, and sometimes worse. Deirdre was the third and youngest daughter of the Druid king Gwynwill. Her hair was sandy brown with amber highlights, her eyes sea green, her complexion cream and wild rose. She was already taller than her older sisters, and her early development had been the cause of much concern in the tribal community. The other versions tittered of envy. The married woman voiced disapproval and counseled her mother to marry her off, for the girl yielded to her budding impulses. The young warriors eyed her yearningly, and the old warriors thought forbidden thoughts and reflected on their faded memories. His name was Enda. He was 15, and he loved Deirdre with a secret passion that tortured him at night, caused him to cry out in his sleep. When it became rumored that Deirdre's father, the king, was preparing to offer her hand in marriage, Enda consulted his kinsmen and asked if they thought his suit would be looked upon with favor. He suspected that the answer would be, but his longing He suspected what the answer would be, but his longing overcame his embarrassment. "Oh, Deirdre marry you?" What voice am I doing? His father cackled. "With your shriveled arm and your twitching mouth. for Enda had presented himself wrong and first when his mother birthed him, and midwives had made a botch of his delivery. She was soon marry my goat, howled his uncle. A bullet, his brother added, pointing the runty dog worrying a greasy bone in the corner of their hut. I'm sorry, I have no idea what these voices I'm doing are. They are definitely not Celtic. Or Celtic. Ugh. Besides, said his father, I'm told she's all but betrothed to Quillian. Now there are the words, lad, of that wench's pretty hole. Ew, his uncle burst out, raising his wine-skin to his fat lips, and to continue to discuss Deirdre's charms, Enda retreated miserably from the hut into the cold night. What does this have to do with Michael Myers or Laurie Strode? The boy suffered tortures such as only the adolescent can. At length he determined on a plan. If he could somehow get directly to Deirdre, he would convince her that, though he was ill-favored physically, he was in every other respect a fitting candidate for her hand. This was easier said than done, however, because the virgins were closely watched by their mothers, or by truculent warrior brothers. Nevertheless, one day, Enda seized an opportunity when Deirdre went to fetch water from the stream at the foot of the hill. He followed her furtively. I'm sorry, I'm not good at pronouncing things. Darting from tree to tree until he found her stooped over the stream, singing softly to herself as the water filled her clay. Deirdre, he called timidly. She turned and gasped, eyes round with fright. You, what do you want? Her body tensed, and she seemed ready to bolt. I want to. The panic in her face alarmed him. He expected to startle her, but he had not imagined she would greet him with such revulsion. He stepped forward, hand extended pacifically, but she jumped back, misinterpreting the gesture. She stumbled, almost falling into the stream, and Enda moved swiftly to rescue her. No! She shrieked. Get away from me, monster! She found her feet and burst into a run, crying, Help! Help! He means to rape me! And his body had been deformed at birth, but not until that moment had his soul been deformed. Now it was Samhain, and Enda, humiliated beyond reason, stood on the perimeter of the celebrants dancing and chanting around the bonfire. In his left hand he held a fat wineskin from which he drank often. In his right he held a foot-long butcher blade which he used to cut the throats of pigs and chickens. His eyes were fixed bitterly on the figures of Deirdre and Quillian, whirling exuberantly around the fire to the immense approval of the tribe, for their betrothal had been announced to the joy and relief of all. Enda's legs shook and his body trembled in the cold night, though the heat of the fire was intense, and when the couple pirouetted past him once more, he leapt like a wildcat on his twin prey. Unarmed, their elbows linked, they didn't have a chance, and his blade sliced easily through Quillian's jugular and windpipe. His legs kicked out in a grotesque finale to his dance of life. Then he fell like a slaughtered bull, carrying Deirdre downward. Her head turned away. She laughed, believing that her drunken partner had merely stumbled, and his blade caught her with laughter on her face, same laughter that had mocked him after she had run safely into the arms of her tribesmen the day he had approached her at the stream. The highly honed weapon plunged into her breast up to the hilt. The clamor, no one heard the expulsion of wind from her lungs, the gurgle of blood, the whimper, or saw a look of dreadful recognition as the light faded from her eyes, except for Enda. The thrill of revenge was the last emotion Enda knew. From a moment later, he was literally torn apart by the enraged tribe. He was literally torn apart by the enraged tribe. Only his head and heart were preserved, gathered up after the frenzy had subsided. At the request of the grieving king, after Deirdre and Quillian were buried on the hallowed ground the following day, and his head and heart were carried to the summit of the hill of fiends, and others outcasts were oh my god, I'm so sorry. And his head and heart were carried to the summit of the hill of fiends, where cowards and other outcasts were left to rot unblessed. The king asked his shaman to pronounce a special curse over the remains of this vile murderer. Thy soul shall roam this earth till the end of time, living thy foul deed and thy foul punishment. May the god Makola visit every affliction upon thy spirit forevermore. The sky darkened and lightning flashed. The day suddenly grew black and cold, and out of nowhere, gusts of snow lashed the tribal party. In the history of the tribe, it had never snowed so early in the year. Satisfied that Makola had heard his prayer, the shaman summoned his people to turn their backs on Enda and return to their bereft village. I am so sorry for my mispronunciations and flubs. I'm recording this on a whim. Next time, I promise I will prepare myself. The celebration of Samhain's Eve was transmuted over the centuries. The invading Romans carried the tradition back from the English Isles with them in the form of harvest festival of Pomona, and the early Christians deemed their celebration as Hallowmans. The popes of the Middle Ages constructed November 1st as All Saints' Day, and all Hallow Even slurred into Halloween as the holiday was transmuted over the next millennium. With the coming of modern civilization, the superstitions and traditions of the original festival lost their meaning and vitality. Token recognition could be seen in the custom of lighting candles and jack-o'-lanterns, hanging effigies of witches and goblins outside homes, and playing good-natured pranks that were a feeble cry from the mayhem of old times. Children paraded about in costumes whose significance had long ago lost their correspondence to the terror of evil that had once gripped the world at the onset of winter. Halloween, like many of the holidays, had become an empty sham. Except that from time to time, the innocent frolic of All Halloween was shattered by some brutal and inexplicable crime. An original spirit of the celebration was brought home to a horrified world. Then the people would bolt their doors, scant good it did them, and besides, there is always the unwary. And that is where I'm going to end for now. It's short, I know, but again, I recorded this on a whim. I need some water. I'm probably just gonna read more later today and upload it. I hope you all enjoyed this. I'm sorry about the audio quality. I do not have a microphone. Wait, I do, but it just does not work for some reason. I've tried everything. So hopefully my voice isn't ugly or annoying to you all. Hopefully you were able to follow along despite my weird voices and flubs and mispronunciations. This book is honestly looking really good so far. I love the original movie. I've seen most of the movies. Well, maybe not the ones after Halloween 3. I don't think my brain will be able to take that much stupid. Have a nice day. See you later. Bye.